Hey guys, Coach Conda here. Welcome back to the video. So today I have something very special and a topic that I truly do believe is really just going to make you feel a little bit better about yourself. And so without further ado, let's get on with it. Disclaimer, I'm not a professional. I'm not certified in any way. All my videos are just for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please seek professional help. So we are at a loneliness epidemic, a low self-worth, self-esteem epidemic, and it didn't really occur until really today. And so it's easier for us to feed our dopamine system than to actually want to do things that stimulate our serotonin. So in short, right, it's easier for us to run away from our problems, our emotions, and to try to hook up with other people or to do drugs or to eat our emotions away than actually do things that create sustainable foundation, whether it's meditating, journaling, working out the right way. And so you have to kind of metaphorically drown in water. You kind of have to figure yourself out. And today I didn't realize how much I told myself this story, that people are going to leave and I'm never worthy of anything, and that nobody wants to, no bee wants to come over to this flower type of energy. And I realized that was a program. And one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is imagine yourself, you're in your home and it's just you, right? And you have all these paintings, and each painting has specific memories, emotions, thoughts that signified a certain event in your life. But all of it is full of like abstract, dark vibe energy. And so those are the stories that we tell ourselves. We wake up every day, we see these paintings. So when are you going to strip the painting, do some spring cleaning, and tell yourself and rewrite your story? But of course, it is hard. So I feel you. I feel lonely sometimes too. I feel like if I'm not X, Y, and Z, then who am I? I feel like if I'm not the Instagram baddie, then who am I, right? So a part of Coach Conda is I'm sharing with you guys a part of an identity crisis that we're all facing. And at the end of the day, giving you guys some solutions from my personal experience that can help you. You don't have to worry about your soulmate. You don't have to worry about your business, right? You have to blossom first. But it is in the blossoming that we literally tend to lose ourselves because we're not really sure what we're feeling. And when I used to be really angry, and I still get angry sometimes, I still get, feelings of sadness sometimes. Like, although I put myself out there, I'm also a human being. What I tend to do is I don't let that feeling blocked. I don't suppress it. I don't leave an impression on my heart. I actually feel it and I let it pass through. And so it could literally be 4 p.m. And if I'm feeling these emotions, right, I'm going to stop what I'm doing. I'm going to relax, release, okay, and let the emotions pass through. And one of the things I do is I yell out verbally to the creator or whoever my frustration. It's easier to get things out than to keep suppressing them. And I actually recently ended up my karmic cycle, my 5th situationship relationship karmic cycle, but that showed me how desperate I was looking for love in all the wrong places. And I kept telling myself the story, had I just done better, maybe if I was more richer, maybe I did this business, maybe if I had a banging body, then maybe this person would choose me and stay. And that's not true. This is exactly why some of the most prettiest, brilliant, sophisticated women and men get cheated on, get played, regardless of how much they perform, regardless of how much money they have, because it is the intention of it. So this loneliness pandemic is very, very dangerous because we're spending less time with actual friends. We don't know how to trust each other, let alone have the skills we need to do in order to like build that foundation. So I'm gonna give you guys an example in my life, okay? Because I'm a human being too. Outside of Coach Conde, I've went through some real stuff. I had a situation where I finally was able to have closure, but it is the aftermath and the choice after that closure that really messed me up, because in my mind I was becoming analytical. I was thinking, well, if they had just done this, if I had just done this, then this would have worked out. No, right? You're either it's either love or it's a lesson. Again, 5th lesson. So I was like, dang, like I felt nothing but just tremendous shame, tremendous guilt that this didn't work out. And as much as we don't want to recognize it, it is from a place of entitlement, wanting something to happen, right? Wanting this to work out, hoping, dreaming, wishing, praying. But when it doesn't happen, we have nothing to go to except the feelings that we have within ourselves. And the hardest part was, like, again, for the 5th time, right? You would think you would have learned your lesson by now, but I don't blame anybody that's going from a place of deep trauma. It's like you're going to have to learn. And remember, your brain isn't developed till like you're 25. You can change. You're still learning and making mistakes. And so once I was in that situation, I realized, okay, Conde, like you can do this 2 ways. You can either analyze, blame yourself because I always grew up being the biggest and the oldest and taking responsibility, even if that person needed ownership as well. Or I could just accept it for what it is. And when the moment I accepted, and again, this is how I formulated this, right? Is when the emotion comes, right? You could be working out, whatever that is, and then you just think of something and then you're triggered. You get angry, you get sad. Let yourself feel that emotion. The only reason why it's coming back is because you have not dealt with it. The only reason why weeds keep coming back is you didn't get to the root cause. So don't blame yourself for not feeling those. Go to somewhere safe, somewhere quiet for you to feel your emotions. And so how I like to do is your heart center is like an Amazon Prime factory, right? Factory warehouse. You need to have these shipments. So God gives you shipments of love and joy. But if the Amazon is blocked and closed off, that shipment can't go to the customer, which is you. So we open your shipment warehouse center, in this case, your heart. Don't run away from it. Don't try to find another distribution center. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to feel in this moment in time. So if you have that package that God has delivered, which is the peace and the hope, and it needs to go to this specific Amazon package, so you have this loneliness emotion, it needs to be felt in this heart center and it can't be blocked, to make sure you release that. Let it happen. And some of the things that people don't realize is it's nothing is weak when you are tender. Nothing is weak when you are fragile. Nothing is weak when you are at your wit's end. It is in those moments and times that actually true spiritual growth happens, because it's when you're under pressure, it's the intention and the willpower of what decision that you choose to do. So for me, I was like, I'm tired of having to perform for someone to stay. And I know you get me. Tired of extending the hand, tired of calling all the time, tired of making sure everyone's okay, but never having that. And I was tired of hurting myself. And so I made a conscious decision, whatever that I do, no matter how lonely I get, I'm gonna feel it. And feeling is being human. Being human is understanding that you are the son and the daughter of the Most High. And to understand that means you believe in God. So if you believe in God, if you believe that there's a creator, if you believe in good, if you believe in love, you must be able to feel. You must be able to have an open heart, an open distribution center where packages come and go. And the thing is, you are not your heart, you're not your trauma, you're the one experiencing it. And when you go through like such hard turmoils, that what that leaves is an impression, right? That's why they say like the first 30 seconds anybody gets an impression of you. So I made so many mistakes of telling people my business and all my things. I don't care. I'm being authentic. I'm an open book, right? And at first I was like, oh my God, I scared these people, like no one's gonna talk to me, blah blah blah. And I realized I don't give a damn, because at the end of the day, they're going about their lives. And I have been so hell bent, right, on them changing, them thinking about them. That was a coping mechanism to run away from the pain that I was feeling. And are you a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? For me, I'm a flight. I like to run away because at least I feel safe. But the thing is, that feeling stays with me until I actually come to terms with it. And so with this loneliness epidemic and just everyone feeling like nothing's going right in the world and you're just kind of in over your head, I've been there, and it is okay. What is not okay is hurting yourself and using the outside world to justify hurting you. You did nothing wrong except trying to read this manual that you don't see in front of you on how to be a human being. And I learned that God's redirection, rejection, right, is ultimately relocating your reward somewhere else. So if I'm not meant to talk to a specific person in this moment in time, I'm meant to take that energy and move it towards business. But it can be really, really, really difficult because I didn't realize I didn't feel anything until I was 24. Like I was going through life surviving, and it wasn't until I was 24 that I really stopped in my tracks and I was like, I can't continue to live like this. This is why I created Coach Conde, was a place for you to be a human being and to understand the power of you, to liberate yourself from the version that just no longer serves. So again, this is what it's going to look like in your everyday life, right? So Coach Conde, what does she do? So she works out. She's a content creator, right? That's the whole game. So that's her business. And then she also works as a direct professional. She is also the oldest, so she's running, she's doing these, she's managing all these things. And it was easier for me to use relationships or talking stages as a distraction to not build a relationship myself because I'm busy, right? But the thing is that if this love cycle continues to repeat, I'm not feeding my soul, I'm feeding my mind. A lot of us attract mind mates, not soulmates. And so the moment I understood that, okay, this loneliness that I'm feeling, this epidemic of just low self-worth, I'm running away from something. And you can have 1,000 problems, but it's just 5 problems replayed 200 times. So get to the root cause of those 5 problems. I promise you, you will eventually pull those weeds out, and your garden will look a lot better. And so yes, I'm doing all these things, I'm balancing it. So it was easier for me to watch a movie because I'm tired, right? But little girl in here is just like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk about what I'm feeling today. So I literally have the whole year's worth of journal prompts, questions to build my self-esteem. I've got books that I'm reading, and don't get me wrong, I'll eat a cheeseburger, I'll watch some movies. I love Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, okay? But if I feel like something's not right, I'm gonna sit with myself. So what makes Kanye feel safe? So when she's feeling alone and scared, what makes her feel safe, right? For some people, it's walking in nature. For some people, it's just cooking a good food, listening to music. For me, journaling, meditating, praying. It has to be done in a specific order for me to ground myself. And to combat loneliness, it's not something that you fight against. It's something that you understand. And so ancestrally, right, if you are experiencing this, that means your ancestors have experienced it before and they didn't get the opportunity to fix this problem. That's why you're experiencing it now. That's why your cup is just full of mucky water and you're trying to pour all this clean water in to clean your cup, and just feels like it's a never-ending doom. You're on the right path. Because the moment you start feeling disturbance, the moment you start feeling fear, doubt, shame, guilt, the moment you start questioning everything, you're actually growing. Because one of the languages of growth or symptoms of growth is this constant never-ending feeling of like, okay, I solved this problem, I healed this problem, I understood this problem, what's next? It's about bracing yourself and building a foundation, not from a place of survival, looking to solve everything and make everything perfect so that way you don't be disturbed, but like when the disturbance comes, how do you handle it? And so I had a tendency to control everything. People that are like very much anal about certain things, they have fear. They don't want to be disturbed. This is why you can literally have the wrong set of outfits, or one dish is placed the wrong way and your parents go off or your boyfriend goes off. It's because they are trying to control everything out there to not have any fear disturbed. So in my previous relationships, I was disturbing. Hallelujah. I was disturbing, okay? I was like questioning, I was calling people, I was like, why would you do that? And at first I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have told the truth. But baby, if it was love, it would stay. But it was less myself, because the first couple times when I was feeling alone and I was talking to people, like it was hard because I wanted people to stay. But then I realized I'm really okay because I got a big mouth girl, and at the end of the day, it's like, I'm gonna say what I have to say respectfully, and if you don't like it, then I'm out. Because if you give me a reason and there's no place for me to feel welcomed or valued, I'm going. Don't stay where you're not welcomed and valued. And so that was how I was able to combat loneliness. Again, right, like the moment I feel triggered, right, I'm stopping dead in my tracks. I'm showing up for the little girl that was never shown up. So I'm talking to her, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm praying, whatever it is that you feel good. And I continuously doing that over and over again and catching yourself. And I didn't realize I was 24, but I told myself the story of like, I'm not someone's wife, I'll never be anything. Like, who would want to be with me? Like, I'm just a pretty face. And at one point, that was all I saw was my body. Like, I was so focused on that. I attracted people that didn't have really a soul. It was more of like the world things. And so not only is it brave enough for me to believe in the good and to do the work and take ownership and, inspire the best I can, but at the same time, it was like, if I create this reality, it must be possible to create a whole different world. And the hardest part is sitting with the loneliness, because for the first time, your nervous system is like, I don't have to think about anything, something's wrong. So this means your prior ancestors, your great aunts and uncles and all that stuff, they didn't get a chance to feel these things. So it's almost like, if you think of a home, okay, and it has like hoarders. Have you ever seen those hoarders where they just have a whole bunch of stuff? Like, and then you ask them and they never throw it away. And you're like, well, what do you need that for? And they just give you a reason, right? That's us. We have these emotions, these traumas, these thoughts that we just oh no, I need this, this is my identity. But the problem with that is that nobody wants to come. And the people that want to come over to the house are the ones that tries to take things away from you. And so it's like you're left with that mess. And so if you think of a home that has no windows, that has no doors, no gates, it doesn't feel safe, that's not a sanctuary. And so the partner, the relationship, the business that, you know, divine has for you, it can't prosper, unfortunately, in a place where it's not safe enough to prosper. So when you're trying to heal and you feel these voids of loneliness and you just are wondering, oh my God, Coach Conde, what am I doing? I feel like I'm not going anywhere. I want you to sit with that. I want you to listen to Adele, Love in the Dark, something, right, Sam? Something that speaks to your soul. And I want you just to yell and scream and cry. The problem with loneliness is that we've never actually admitted. And as a society, it's almost like, oh, like you feel alone. Like, yes. Like, you don't think Jesus did? You don't think Buddha did? Like, everyone has felt these emotions before. So that means it's easy to overcome if you want to do so. And so when I felt like I had to fight for something, for this relationship to stay, for this guy to choose me, I realized, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm a baddie, okay, with a fatty, and I got this going for me. But my mind, the portraits that I have over my home, was telling me these stories of, you need to perform. You're not good enough, X, Y, and Z. And so it was like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to be alone. Like, you really just, I literally had to take all these paintings, okay, and this was all in my head, by the way, and throw it out and create new paintings, new stories, new poems that I placed upon my wall, because I was sick and tired of the feeling of alone, right? It's like you can be with people and still feel like you don't belong. The term popular loner. And so the moment I was like, I accept myself, I'm not going to be analyzing anything. And the moment that my mind is like, well, if you would have done this, if they would have done this, this would have happened. Like, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way anymore. You know, it's like, how long can you run away from trauma? Because the thing with fear and doubt and shame and loneliness is that you're running away, but it's always chasing you. It's in some way, shape, or form. And this whole principle of different bodies, same spirit, it's a term where you can replace the external things. You can replace the cars, the job, the home. But if you keep attracting the same thing over and over again, it's following you. It's paranoid, right? Like you're not sleeping. And some of the signs that I realized I was experiencing loneliness was like, I was an overachiever, productiveness, but literally like I had no like friend time. And the times that I would have friends, like it would be friends of other friends. And it was just like, I don't want to have to call myself every single time. I don't want to have to like extend myself if somebody doesn't want me to stay. And it was why do I feel like I'm putting in more effort? And I would go days without calling and texting people. And it just got to the point where I was like, I'm done. And then that was a whole lesson in itself. So that was one of the signs that I realized was like, if I stop putting the effort and the energy, like, will this situation, will this friendship ever, like, will this fall apart? It did. And because I had this thing of, oh, like, I want people, I'm willing to compensate for someone else's behavior. And Conde used to stay in situations where, like, guys would talk about their exes and stuff. And I was like, I realized I didn't fully process what happened to my first relationship. And so now I'm in this journey of the self. I'm tapping and pouring to my soul. I'm not going to worry about the bees. I'm not going to worry about the butterflies. It'll come to me when the time is ready. And as a highly productive person, and this is something I had to learn, was it doesn't matter how much you try to collapse timeline. Your soul is a soul that knows you, that knows experiences before this time. As much as you can manifest and heal, there are some things that time will only heal. And I've wrestled with God about that. And if you're wrestling with the co-creator, you don't believe in the creator. So the moment I realized, okay, the love of my life will some way show in my life. I don't know how, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. But right now, what I can control is my business. What I can control is the content I put out. What I can control is the workout and the food. And I just did my foot detox. You know, what I can control is me, and accepting and hushing my mind. And so again, let's wrap this up. I love conversating with you guys. So again, how we can combat loneliness is to understand it. I'm not coming from a place of giving you a solution until you are ready to do so. I wasn't ready to hear the advice until I was this day and age, okay? So I'm 24. Yes, it took me some time to finally be brave enough to confront this feeling of loneliness. But the moment I confronted, I was like, man, I'm okay. Like, I got it. Okay, I've been done this. I got this. So it's to understand, not to solve. If you can understand behavior, every way, how, method, it'll come into play. And so first is to understand where your loneliness come from. It might be ancestral, it might be spiritual, it might be from both of your parents or from your environment, right? First one is to understand. The second thing is to give yourself time. And this is also by balancing your 9 to 5 or working out or being with family. So you have to set aside time. For Conde, if she felt triggered, I would go through the whole day working 16-hour shifts and going to the gym and dropping off clients and cooking meals. And then when I would have 2 hours, that's my time. Phone on do not disturb. No one contacts me because I'm showing up for me. So the first is to understand, and the second is to show up. And you showing up, right, is success, is progress, because all the times that they didn't show up for you and you didn't know how to show up for yourself, you're amending that. And the thing is, it might take a couple years. For me, it took me a couple years. I'm going to be honest. It was really, really hard because I felt like, why would I show up for something that wasn't worthy of showing up for? You know what I mean? Like, I almost gave myself this excuse, because of this trauma, I don't deserve to live the best life I can. So literally sitting in silence for 2 hours, I would sob because I'm like, there's no point in understanding. This is never going to work out. Just fighting this survival, this instinctual pressure to just perform. And I decided, if I was to heal my heart and listen and walk in the purpose of God, I've got to do the things that are different, like sitting with yourself, regulating your nervous system, eating clean. Like Honda used to work 16 hours, 20 hours and not sleep and destroy her body. Now it's like, baby, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I'm not talking to anybody. Like, call me widow, but I don't care. So understand, show up and make time. And the third thing is the desire. Okay, the desire to do so. I can't solve your problems for you, but I can share you my story. You know, you can hire a doctor, you can hire a physician, but no one is going to do the work for you unless you're actually willing to do so. And the good news is, the more that you do things you don't like, you build your anterior cingulate cortex. And Andrew Huberman briefly talks about it, is the more you exercise this muscle, it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So healing was one of those things that I was taught wasn't going to bring money. It wasn't productive. Society was against femininity, and we're living a patriarchy, okay? And now for the first time, we're actually shifting into where women are owning more businesses, where women are becoming more empowered, and I love that. And I'm not saying I'm against men. We love men, we love women. I'm just simply saying is that for the first time, people are actually taking mental health seriously and healing seriously. When you look at our forefathers and all of that, it's like they lived without that. And so that feeling that you feel, like, imagine what they're feeling. And that's like 70, 80 years, and they have like disease. Like, of course it's going to manifest. And the thing is, they don't know it. But we can honor that by taking care of ourselves. And it's strange because healing is one of those things that you don't really read a manual for. Like, I used to read books and trying to understand, and that did help. Like, that was 80% of it, but that was like 50% of it, but 50% is like spiritual. Is asking the right questions, so that way I can get the right answers, so I can stop feeling this way, or at least even not necessarily stop feeling that way, but simply to, when that feeling comes up, I can handle it. And I don't know what you guys, but emotional insecurities, emotional storms literally can take a beautiful sunny day and still beautiful and sunny day and somehow find the shark in all of it, somehow find the hurricane in all of it. Like, that's how powerful healing is. And especially if we want to combat loneliness, if we want to combat like self-worth, is understanding it, is simply creating the space and also the desire to actually want that. And I will say, the more that you rise above your frequency, you begin to see things for what they really are. And it is your choice as a soul to see, like, okay, should I continue this, or should I just stop? Because the hardest part is letting people go, and all the people around you has something similar to you. And it is about, are you willing to be brave enough to let those things go, so that way you can have the best version of yourself. And there's nothing selfish with being selfful. Like, the creator has great plans, and if you feel like you don't deserve the wealth, if you don't deserve this, or you try to, oh, God wouldn't want me to do that, God wouldn't want me to, like, be like, it's coming from a place of trauma. Because if you have to constantly think about it, question about it, and you feel this tightness in your chest, then that's something worth questioning about. And so again, like, we obviously live in a world of loneliness, and people are low self-esteem no matter how much makeup they wear. But the good thing is that you can combat that. Okay, it's these simple modalities, practices that actually bring and shed light into places that are most dark. And like I always say, be fruitful, go forth, and multiply Christ consciousness.